This is your daily briefing. You're most welcome to it. And of course, the subject of today, it has to be the postponement of the game against Arsenal. Absolute joke, farcical, nonsense, and more to the point, nonsensical. I have to tell you something. You're not stupid. Oh yeah, and thanks very much for the 5,000 subscriptions from non-stupid people. Hugely appreciated. I don't know how big this is going to get. Probably not huge because, you know, this isn't. I don't think this is a mainstream channel. I wish it kind of was, but there's too many thick people out there. So the postponement of today's Tottenham Arsenal game needs very little scrutiny applied to it. The original conditions of the rulings have now been ridden roughshod over by the people that wrote them, and I guess they're entitled to do so. But what annoys me, what pains me, I did a piece this morning on the boy HOTSPUR.com, and I recalled the Premier League woke and unfit for purpose. And somebody said, oh, well, can somebody tell me what he's so woke about? And the reality is, put it into simple terms that we can all understand, is when I use the word woke, which is to do with social injustice and racism, blah, blah, it's mother knows best. Most people don't need this stuff, just like they don't need the Bible. They don't need religion in order to know the difference between right and wrong. And it really grates when life is interfered with, and it's especially by private organisations. And the Premier League can absolutely do one after this. The list of injustices, if you want, against Tottenham and against other clubs, Leeds recently, who didn't have enough players. And, you know, just have hard and fast rules which relate to the sport and don't get yourselves involved. I've yet to see anybody make a coherent, cogent argument in support of what the Premier League have done. Gary Neville, who I would say is as woke as you like, he's just turned around and said, Stan Collymore is a individual, he's just turned around and said, Nobody's in favour of this. Nobody thinks it's a good idea. So the Premier League terms and conditions around the COVID thing were to provide a safety net, I think is the kindest way to do it, which totally made sense. So if you woke up one morning and through no fault of your own, and this I think is the key sort of terminology, the language we should be using, no fault of your own, you suddenly found you had 6, 7 players, 8 players out of your first team wiped out. COVID, pandemic, everybody's got the lurgy, nobody can get out of bed, blah. That's fine. You've got to intervene because it's an extraordinary set of circumstances. But what we've got with Arsenal is not extraordinary. We've got one single player, the same as Spurs, but many, many other teams, I would imagine, this week, who have got one player or, just one player missing. And now the Premier League have changed their rules because they want to get involved. Mother knows best. The decision is a result of a combination of COVID-19, existing and recent injuries, players on international duty at the Africa Cup of Nations. All clubs are able to apply for a postponement if COVID-19 infections are a factor in their request. So what they're saying is you can get your toe in the door if you've got a little bit of COVID, smidge of COVID, touch of COVID, a drop of COVID, gets the door open, and then you can come in with a supporting argument, which you can, Uncle Tom Cobley and all, oh yeah, and his elbow isn't great, and yet you had a bone in your leg, didn't you, Gary? Yeah. Absolute nonsense. The Premier League's postponement rules are designed to protect the well-being of players and staff and maintaining the sporting integrity of the competition. Club requests are assessed on a case-by-case basis based on existing rules and adapted COVID-19 postponement guidance implemented in the light of the Omicron variant. The variant has got nothing to do with it. Okay, let's get that out of the way. That's got nothing to do with it. And they're talking about the well-being of players and staff. What's that got to do with it? I would suggest that they should focus more upon who pays the bills. Never take your eye off the money. Ordinary fans have been cooped up in their homes with all of this COVID business for the best part of about 2 or 3 years, or I've lost track of how long it is. I put it to you that the integrity of the game has perhaps been damaged permanently because of this farcical approach from the Premier League. This country is full of people who've had enough of lockdowns and guidance and guidelines and interference in their lives, and they can't sit at home at TV, they can't go down to the pub, they can't go to a game because it's been called off because somebody's wet the bed. I'm absolutely furious, absolutely furious. These people don't have a leg to stand on. I went through with you in the previous video the nature of the issues at Arsenal, and a child could understand them. Got a lot of injured players, got a lot of players off in Africa. I mean, are Tottenham going to be able to put in a chitty when we've got players off playing for Argentina next time round? That comes up. What was it, the Copa Americas or whatever it is? Are we going to have a leg to stand on? Oh, no, because you'll need to get somebody to come forward as part of the deal who's got COVID, because you need to get your toe in the door. All the screaming and shouting online needs to subside, and the focus of the anger, the outrage, the ire needs to be focused at the Premier League, because like all of these bloody businesses, they want to show how groovy they are. Oh yeah, we're really into diversity and equality. I'm absolutely sick of it. Focus upon what you do for a living, and I'll say it again, don't lose sight of where the money is. You take your eye off the money. And on that note, European Super League, bring it on. And do you know why? Do you know why I would welcome the Super League? Because I think they're gangsters. I think they're Bond villains. But I think that's the way the game's going. And if somebody comes along who's fixated on the money, even more than these clowns, then I don't think they get themselves involved in this. Oh, I think everything about people's well-being. Whose well-being? Do you know, I would suggest that you email them, right, and kind of get a bit of, action going. But they won't care. They're not accountable to anybody. They don't care about you. They don't care about me squawking into a lens. They don't care about any of this stuff. All they care about is the way that they are perceived, and they want to be perceived as morally upright people. Jokers. Good luck. Keep it on.